Welcome to TradeTheNBA.com. This is John. This report is for the 19th, and well, more of the same. It's just flat going across to slightly weak. You see a little bit of a change here. This is an adjustment that I'm working with the shakeout where it gives effective short signals, but not quite working exactly as opposed to now. It's interesting to try and create a line on the chart when it is related to the indicator, but it's just basically a trend line that goes straight up and down. In this particular case, it's supposed to trigger when the shakeout is over 15 and then goes below within the last 12 bars. Well, clearly that hasn't happened, and even these here didn't happen. So there's some deficiencies there. We can see that the short's moving into the setup, fading a little bit already, with short-term buyers starting to come back up. Still should put a little bit of pressure and keep it kind of flat form. The NQ's still been the strongest, expressed a little bit of weakness, but shorts faded off. There just really isn't a whole lot of activity to run from this market at all. Here it is again with the Dow. Another interesting one to look for too. This happens to be a daily chart, but it's very effective intraday. Whenever you get the Cyan DOC moving above 13.5, you look for the crossover point as an opportunity to go long, and then when it crosses back over, it goes short. I'll show it to you on the 5K. It's very effective on there. Also works throughout time ranges going in between, because it's an anomaly to have such a major move. In fact, it happened here. USO 7.5 there crosses over. I wanted to go long just a little earlier than potentially you would have seen from a signal, but that's just a matter of then waiting for the shakeout. And as long as it stays above and until it crosses back below, you're still in a long configuration, and that's exactly what's happening with oil. It's just coming back up to where the collapse point is. I mean, it seems dramatic, but the overselling on it was dramatic, to say the least. They still have a supply problem, and unless the growth is substantial, it's going to be hard pressed. This rise in the euro is puzzling in the sense that it could foretell that potentially the U.S. is getting even weaker economically, which would be a concern for everyone. Gold making a little spike up. If that's the case. Recession fears. Bonds, a little flight back to quality, but there really isn't a whole lot of room for that to go anywhere. And here's that spike in the Europe. We've started to see it build here over time. Pretty strong move from the shakeout now. We don't have the shakeout line in here, but it's at plus 18. And I'll go over the configuration just a second here. Well, this is the case chart getting way up there. We're pretty much flat. That's all we're doing is just bouncing right around general configuration here. Let me go over some of these. For instance, here's the situation where you have the 7.5 going up there. You follow it short until you reach the crossover point right there, and then you turn around and go long with that. And as long as it stays above the Cyan, you're in a long configuration. So it was a good trigger. Now, what this is looking for is supposed to be, in this particular case, is a good one here. Within this broader short, if we want to call it that, you get the plus 15 on the shakeout. Then it dips below. Well, you have to have both the magenta and red below the 15 as well. And then you also have to have your azure and blue flat. So for 2 bars, they would have to be the exact same reading, in which case they are. You would also have to have the DOC steel below the red and the Cyan above. So in effect, the DOC spread that has a reset component, and you need to make sure that your MBI is not down below the 25. And in this particular case, it works out beautifully for the short. Now, if you follow with the 7.5 that we just talked about, it moved up to 7.5 right there, and then boom, crossed over just before. Now, the MBI GAM would have been a clear indication that you had reached oversold and we're about to turn around. And also, this is a secondary one. You wouldn't have a trigger that occurs where you have the long signal. If we go back a little bit, we can see there was this one over here. Same setup. So when you're above the 15 on the shakeout here, and the red and magenta stay above there, even a dip in the readings, you would not utilize that DOC as a signal, because you still haven't developed enough weakness in there. Plus you have rising red and blue until they flatten out. You then come to the tail end of a move as it starts to weaken. It's not just enough for the shakeout to be weakened, you also have to make sure that you have the proper reset, otherwise you could just be oversold and just pop back up into it. So that's exactly how it read on the 5K. I don't know if I'd gone over that one in detail before, but it's a conjunction play. There's several others, even including the extreme indicator, that are going in there. It's all going to get incorporated into the paint bar, so changes in that will occur automatically without even really ever having to look at it. Take a look at some stocks here while we're at it. Apple continuing its move. We saw a nice move from PCLN on a continuation, strong looking chart. So it started up with the cyan, what looked like a DOC spread, but again, look at that shakeout readings. There's been no decline whatsoever. In fact, well, let's put the warning line on to show you how we would form out that shakeout. So, for instance, red on is not indicated, so you just backspace, put a 1, and our warning line is the one we want to see right there. And we just click OK. And instantly there it is. So there's the plus 15. So you see still rising, everything's above. So there's not going to be a short anytime soon on this, even in the overbought configurations. Now it's great because we can then mark our positive extreme and put our line across, and that's going to be our retrace when we do get a signal. It's just not yet. There's nothing wrong with that either. Twitter took a nice beating the other day. Again, for some reason, it just doesn't want to show this paint bar version. Some charts sometimes have a conflict with the language. I don't know why. Let's go back to the other one and see if it's still disabled. Back to our app now. See, it comes right back. So interesting. Baidu had a nice move. Let's take a look there. Amazon wasn't doing anything of note. Nice continuation. Again, here it is, starting with that plus 15. Here was another indication of the, and this is on daily, so also effective. So you can see the daily going right there, goes to the long, and then breaks back down, back to a long right here. And so you can play those little crisscrosses whenever you have an extreme move like that, until it gets crossed over by the red or the cyan dips below the red or green. Then you'd have a reset in those particular cases, but not a bad thing to look at. You can go through daily in particular. It's going to be a little bit more reactive to broader ones. Intraday, you get some nice fast action from it. And FAS, again, that's going to be necessary to make any particular move. Now this is a good one here because we can see it. Now, did we ever get 15? No. So it effectively would not trigger in this particular case. So the question is why a line is showing up there, because we've not had a move above plus 15. So I have to take a look at some of the language on that. I mean, you think it's pretty straightforward. It's like if the shakeout's over plus 15, yeah. If only it worked that way. Again, right over here, same thing showing this is not even there. So a little bit of refinement, but it's an effective play. And I'll detail further examples of it as it establishes more clearly, and you'll be able to see it on the paint bar. It will be nice and reflective that way. Let's go back to where we were. It's kind of flat right now from a pre-market standpoint. Nice rising red and blue. That's a best indication for bulls at this particular point. So they're going to need to make something happen, particularly since shakeout moving negative. It's going to be problematic for it. As always, though, for me on the Skype chat, going to be back and forth. I will be in Venice over the weekend, taking wife and family for our anniversary. So just a heads up there. I will do report for Monday. So and we'll be back in Florence again by Tuesday. So there won't be much of an interruption. I just probably won't be on the Skype chat on Monday. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk again later.